Good morning. If you'd like to join us in the bell chant this morning, it is on page 35, titled The Way of Everyday Life. When all dharmas are Buddha Dharma, there are enlightenment and delusion, practice, life and death, Buddhas and creatures. When the 10,000 dharmas are without self, there are no delusions, no enlightenment, no Buddhas, no creatures, no life and no death. The Buddha way transcends being and non-being. Therefore, there are life and death, delusion and enlightenment, creatures and Buddhas. Nevertheless, flowers fall with our attachment, and weeds spring up with our aversion. To carry the self forward and realize the 10,000 dharmas is delusion. That the 10,000 dharmas advance and realize the self is enlightenment. It is Buddhas who enlighten delusion. It is creatures who are deluded in enlightenment. Furthermore, there are those who attain enlightenment above enlightenment. There are those who are deluded within delusion. When Buddhas are truly Buddhas, one need not be aware of being Buddha. However, one is the realized Buddha and further advances in realizing Buddha. Seeing forms with the whole body and mind, hearing sounds with the whole body and mind, one understands them intimately. Yet it is not like a mirror with reflections, nor like water under the moon. When one side is realized, the other side is dark. To study the Buddha way is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be enlightened by the 10,000 dharmas. To be enlightened by the 10,000 dharmas is to free one's body and mind of those of others. No trace of enlightenment remains, and this traceless enlightenment is continued forever. When one first seeks the truth, one separates oneself from it. When one has already correctly transmitted the truth to oneself, one is one's original self at that moment. When riding on a boat, if one watches the shore, one may assume that the shore is moving. But watching the boat directly, one knows that it is the boat that moves. If one examines the 10,000 dharmas with a deluded body and mind, one will suppose that one's mind and nature are permanent. But if one practices intimately and returns to the true self, it will be clear that the 10,000 dharmas are without self. Firewood turns into ash and does not turn into firewood again, but do not suppose that the ash is after and the firewood is before. We must realize that firewood is in the state of being firewood and has its before and after, yet having this before and after is independent of them. Ash is in the same state of being ash and has its before and after. Just as firewood does not become firewood again after it is ash, so after one's death, one does not return to life again. Thus, that life does not become death is a confirmed teaching of the Buddha Dharma. For this reason, life is called the non-born. That death does not become life is a confirmed teaching of the Buddha Dharma. Therefore, death is called the non-extinguished. Life is a period of itself. Death is a period of itself. For example, they are like winter and spring. We do not think that winter becomes spring, nor do we say that spring becomes summer. Gaining enlightenment is like the moon reflecting in the water. The moon does not get wet, nor is the water disturbed. Although its light is extensive and great, the moon is reflected even in a puddle an inch across. The whole moon and the whole sky are reflected in a dewdrop in the grass in one drop of water. Enlightenment does not disturb the person, just as the moon does not disturb the water. A person does not hinder enlightenment, just as a dewdrop does not hinder the moon in the sky. The depth of the drop is the height of the moon. As for the duration of the reflection, you should examine the water's vastness or smallness, and you should discern the brightness or dimness of the heavenly moon. When the truth does not fill our body and mind, we think that we have enough. When the truth fills our body and mind, we realize that something is missing. For example, when we view the four directions from a boat on the ocean where no land is in sight, we see only a circle and nothing else. No other aspects are apparent. However, this ocean is neither round nor square, and its qualities are infinite in variety. It is like a palace. It is like a jewel. It seems circular as far as our eyes can reach at the time. The 10,000 dharmas are likewise like this. Although ordinary life and enlightenment life assume many aspects, we only recognize and understand through practice what the penetrating power of our vision can reach. In order to appreciate the 10,000 dharmas, we should know that although they may look round or square, the other qualities of oceans and mountains are infinite in variety. Furthermore, other universes lie in all quarters. It is so not only around ourselves, but also right here and in a single drop of water. When a fish swims in the ocean, there is no limit to the water, no matter how far it swims. When a bird flies in the sky, there is no limit to the air, no matter how far it flies. However, no fish or bird has ever left its element since the beginning. When the need is large, it is used largely. When the need is small, it is used in a small way. Thus, no creature ever comes short of its own completeness. Wherever it stands, it does not fail to cover the ground. If a bird leaves the air, it will die at once. If a fish leaves the water, it will die at once. Know then that water is life. Know that air is life. Life is the bird and life is the fish. Beyond these, there are further implications and ramifications. In this way, there are practice and enlightenment, mortality and immortality. Now, if a bird or a fish tries to reach the limit of its element before moving in it, this bird or this fish will not find its way or its place. Attaining this place, one's daily life is the realization of ultimate reality, Genjo Koan. Attaining this way, one's daily life is the realization of ultimate reality, Genjo Koan. Since this place and this way are neither large nor small, neither self nor other, neither existing previously nor just arising now, they therefore exist thus. Thus, if one practices and realizes the Buddha way, when one gains one Dharma, one penetrates one Dharma, when one encounters one action, one practices one action. Since the place is here and the way leads everywhere, the reason the limits of the knowable are unknowable is simply that our knowledge arises with and practices with the absolute perfection of the Buddha Dharma. Do not practice thinking that realization must become the object of one's knowledge and vision and be grasped conceptually. Even though the attainment of realization is immediately manifest, its intimate nature is not necessarily realized. Some may realize it and some may not. Priest Baoche of Magu Mountain was fanning himself. A monk approached and asked, "Sir, the nature of the wind is permanent, and there is no place it does not reach. Why then must you still fan yourself? Although you understand that the nature of the wind is permanent," the master replied, "you do not understand the meaning of its reach everywhere." "What is the meaning of its reach everywhere?" asked the monk. The master just fanned himself. The monk bowed with deep respect. This is the enlightened experience of Buddha Dharma and the vital way of its correct transmission. Those who say we should not use a fan because wind is permanent, and so we should know the existence of wind without using a fan, know neither permanency nor the nature of wind. Because the nature of wind is eternally present, the wind of Buddhism actualizes the gold of the earth and ripens the cheese of the long river. We bow. We will return to noble silence until service begins at 10 o'clock. At this time, I would like to invite up our incense lighters. And if you would like to chant along with us, on page 2 is the incense lighting gatha. And together we say, in gratitude, we offer this incense throughout space and time to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May it be fragrant as earth herself, reflecting careful efforts, wholehearted awareness, and the fruit of understanding slowly ripening. May we and all beings be companions of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May we awaken from forgetfulness and realize our true home. And we bow. We'll begin service by standing up and silently greeting each other with bows. page 3. We will chant the 3 refuges together. I go for refuge to Buddha, my deeply awakened mind, the living source of understanding and compassion, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to Dharma, the path of mindful living, leading to healing, joy, and enlightenment, the way of peace, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to the Sangha, the loving and supportive community of practice, realizing harmony, awareness, and liberation, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I am aware that the 3 jewels are within my heart. I vow to realize them. I vow to practice mindful breathing and smiling, looking deeply into things. I vow to understand living beings and their suffering. I vow to cultivate loving kindness and compassion, and to practice joy and equanimity. I vow to offer joy to one person in the morning, and to help relieve the grief of one person in the afternoon. I vow to live simply and sanely, content with few possessions, and to keep my body healthy. I vow to let go of all worry and anxiety in order to be light and free. I am aware that I owe so much to my parents, teachers, friends, and all beings. I vow to be worthy of their trust, to practice wholeheartedly, so that understanding and compassion will flower, and I can help living beings be free from their suffering. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. And on the next page, you'll see the Heart Sutra, and we'll chant that together. When we are chanting this, we want to try to keep an upbeat tempo. This is not a funeral dirge. And the other idea is that as you are reading these words and chanting these words out loud, remember to embody them in body, speech, and mind, which are the 3 doors of expression. Paramita Hridaya Sutra. The Bodhisattva of great compassion, from the deep practice of prajna, Paramita, perceived the emptiness of all 5 skandhas, and delivered all beings from their suffering. O Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is emptiness, emptiness form. The same is true of feeling, thought, impulse, and consciousness. O Shariputra, all dharmas are empty. They are not born nor annihilated. They are not defiled nor immaculate. They do not increase nor decrease. So in emptiness, no form, no feeling, no thought, no impulse, no consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. No form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or objects of mind. No realm of sight, no realm of consciousness. No ignorance, nor extinction of ignorance. No old age and death. nor extinction of them. No suffering, no cause of suffering, no cease from suffering, no path to lead out of suffering, no knowledge, no attainment, no realization, for there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva holds on to nothing but prajna, paramita. Therefore the mind is clear of any delusive hindrance. Without hindrance there is no fear. Away from all delusive views, one reaches final nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future, through faith in prajna, paramita, attain to the highest perfect enlightenment. Know then the prajna, paramita, is the great Dharani, the radiant peerless mantra, the utmost supreme mantra, which is capable of allaying all pain. This is true beyond all doubt. Proclaim now the highest wisdom, the prajna, paramita. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhisvaha. Dhammaha prajna paramita hridaya sutra. Before we sit down, we're going to be offering prostrations. You don't have to do this if you don't know how to do prostrations, don't get comfortable doing prostrations. You can just stand and watch, but I'll explain a little bit as to why we do them. Okay? So as a teacher and as a Dharma student, for me it is a way of humbling myself, a way of saying I don't know it all, but I'm going to keep trying through body, speech, and mind to incorporate these teachings into my life so I can become a better person and be a better service in the world. So this act of doing it physically is a way to remind myself that when I sit down on this dais, I am not Igye or Brennan. I am representing the Buddhist teachings. So if you have a practice, you're welcome to join. Otherwise, you can watch. And then when we're done, we can all sit down together. Good morning, everyone. My name is Z. Dharma name is Igye Su. Today I'm going to be talking about developing Boddhichitta. But before we actually get into the talk, we're going to do a little bit of a meditation to bring our minds to some idea of what that might be. And then we'll dig in a little bit deeper after the meditation. So at this time, go ahead and get yourself, if you need to do any kind of stretches beforehand, clear your throat. Now is the time to do it. Yeah, like seriously, get it out. If you're anything like me, those allergies are kicking in and you feel that phlegm at the back of your throat. Remembering our 7-point posture, finding a strong foundation with the way that you are seated. Legs either folded or sitting on the cushion in a way that is comfortable for you, that provides your spine with support so it can stay up nice and tall. In a chair, you are seated with your back supported and your feet flat on the ground. Hands should either be on your knees, hands face up or face down, or they can be in your lap folded. Pulling up through the top of the head, feeling a nice long spine. Imagine your spine as if it's a stack of gold coins, perfectly balanced, and at the top sits your skull. Shoulders are relaxed down the back, chin is tucked slightly. Tongue is resting just at the back of the teeth, gently. Lips can be slightly parted. This is a good time to remember that what we do is, this whole practice is meant to inject joy. So a slight Mona Lisa smile on the lips will help us remember that. If you haven't already, the eyes should be closed and the face relaxed, apart from a little smile. Take 10 breaths here. Now is an opportunity to adjust your posture if there's anything uncomfortable, or clear your throat if you need to. Before we get into the meat of the meditation, this is where we practice parking our body and forgetting about it while we go inwards. So work on getting really still so as to not disturb the meditation of those around you. To begin our meditation, bring to mind a moment when somebody did something extraordinary for you and it was unexpected. Maybe you needed a ride and they were like, I'm going to help you. I'm going to come and give you that ride. Or maybe they surprised you with a bouquet of flowers. Or last week brought you some baked goods with the zucchini that they had from their garden. Something that touched your heart. Something that brought light into your experience. And keep thinking about them. How many instances can you remember of the kindness of others? Now think of one being in particular that has done a lot for you. Somebody who's always been there to protect you. Somebody who's stuck their neck out for you time and time again. This could be a parent figure or another family figure. This could be your best friend. Someone who has been there for you no matter what. Really connect with that feeling and those qualities that this person holds. Now reflect on a moment when this person did something incredible for you, something unexpected, or maybe it was expected and you just didn't think they were going to do it. And they proved you wrong, that you were worthy of this kind of love, this kind of care. And recognizing their kindness, you think to yourself, I want to repay this kindness. I want to give it back tenfold. And so, according to the Buddha, the best way to return that kindness is to love. To love them like a mother loves her child. And you may think there might be physical offerings that you can give, but of the non-physical ones, it is wishing them to be happy and wishing them to be safe. Because that is all that we all need. Now bring someone neutral to mind. Somebody you might see on the street or in a cafe or in the supermarket. And consider how you might be able to extend this same kind of love to that person. And maybe in a way of offering, it's that beautiful tone that we just heard. Give that to them. Give them the song of love that comes from your heart, that comes from your mind. Like placing a gift in their lap where they are receiving that unexpected love and kindness. And developing bodhicitta means that we are working towards seeing every single being with this same love, with this same compassion. And so bring to mind someone who's difficult, someone who's challenging, someone who might be hard to want to extend that love to. And noticing that all of those difficulties arise from distinction and attachment and aversion. Underneath it, we are all in need of that desire to be happy and to be safe. And so even with this difficult person, as if you are taking the light from your heart that is a representation of all goodness, and placing it in theirs with that same wish. May you be happy. May you be safe. Now extending that view out to every person in this room, every person in this city, every person in this world. Consider, even if no one else does, if no one else extends this gift of happiness and of safety, may I do it. May I take personal responsibility to see that every being receives this kind of love and compassion. From the most challenging people to the smallest creatures, every being deserves this happiness and this safety. So gently begin to bring your mind back to the center of your heart, the center of your mind, recognizing that all things are possible through our understanding of limitless potential that all things hold. And holding this secret key in your heart, and with this goodness of this meditation that we've just practiced, bring to mind somebody who needs this gift today, somebody who's been experiencing hardship or challenges in their life, and give this goodness away to them. Find a sense of ease in your body. Gently adding some movement into your fingers and toes. And coming back into the room. So Boddhichitta, it's a beautiful practice. There's one particular practice I've been working with for about the last 2 to 3 months. And I'm going to share that with you today. It's called the 7-point cause and effect method for Boddhichitta. So what does Boddhichitta mean? Like, what do you think it means? What does Bodhi mean? Anyone? So that might answer your question once we discover the definition of Boddhichitta. What does Bodhi mean? Anyone? Yeah? Yeah, awakening, right? It's to see ultimate reality, right? It's the part of us that goes, wow, I saw that wrong. I've been totally mistaken this whole time. There is a whole other reality of potential here that I'm not even recognizing, right? It's the part where the Buddha bodhied. He woke up, right? So awakened, and then what does chitta mean? Mind, right? So bodhicitta is awakened heart or awakened mind, right? So developing bodhicitta, right? That's a process. You don't just have it, right? You might have a hope to develop it, but to really show that you've developed it, right? That's what we have these practices for. So bodhicitta is something that a bodhisattva embodies. A bodhisattva is a representation of somebody who has achieved bodhicitta, in a sense.
Okay. If we're going to try to find some fine lines to define this whole practice with, because that's a tough thing to do, but the Tibetans are really good at it. So we're going to go along that path because that's what I study. So on the Buddhist path, okay, there are 3 essential foundations for becoming a true bodhisattva. And the first path is renunciation. The second path is developing bodhicitta. And the third path is having the correct view of emptiness. Okay, correct view, emptiness, essentially the same thing, wisdom. Okay, so what is renunciation? Come on, guys. This is like give me your words. I don't need like a dictionary definition. Like, what is renunciation for you? Okay, so like turning away from things that aren't working for you. Any other ways of viewing renunciation? Sorry, speak up. So giving up the things that are negative, right? Giving up the things that we don't need in our life. Kind of like when you recognize that like drinking is not all that great. And then you're like, yeah, I don't think I really want to do this anymore. Or maybe it's, you know, when I'm teaching kids, it's like they like to bite their nails, some kids, and they're like, oh yeah, I have this thing where I really like to bite my nails and then my fingers bleed and it hurts. And that kind of hurts. So maybe I should stop doing that, right? So it's like giving up our negative habits, whether they're physical habits or whether they are mental habits. And mostly what we're doing when we work with this practice is we're working with our mind. So we're trying to give up all the habits that aren't so good, like judging other drivers on the road who don't know how to use a roundabout. Yes, that's my continued example because I still work with that one on a daily basis. And then it's also, so renunciation is one more step further than that. It's also choosing to move in a different direction. So you might move away from the negative tendency, but that keeps you in a state of neutrality. So how do we work towards our mind to move into a state of positivity? Okay. So it's not just kind of going, yeah, I'm not going to do that anymore and not do anything, right? So you're not going to do that anymore. It's going to say, how do I take this and transform it into something good, right? It's like alchemy. Okay. So you're turning waste into gold, right? And so then you have bodhicitta, which is this heartfelt wish of saying, I want to wake up for every other living being. Okay. I want to reach enlightenment so that way I can help others reach enlightenment. I want to prove to myself that this is real so that I can help others see that it's real. Okay. It's realizing all the things that we can overcome are not really who we are. And that we have this ability to choose the direction that we go. And then how do we carry that into other people? Okay. And lastly, it's the correct view of emptiness. Okay. Now, there's the emptiness teaching. I know I've given it before. What is this? It's a pen. What is it to a dog? Chew toy. What happens when the dog and the human leave the room? What is this? Limitless potential, because there's nobody there to put a label on it, right? So it only becomes a functioning thing with a consciousness that is looking upon it, okay? So when we're looking, it's not about the pen itself. It's about understanding that the emptiness that it holds, right? Just like the emptiness of our anger and the emptiness of our frustration, okay? We're often experiencing those negative mental states because we're attached to the way that we want things to be. It doesn't mean that, you know, if we see something bad happening, we shouldn't like, you know, hey, stand up and do something. It just means that we don't let it affect us in a way that allows us to continue to be more angry, okay? So we might see that there's people in the world who behave in a way that is harmful, okay? That doesn't mean we hate the person. That doesn't mean we hate what they're doing. What it means is that we stand up and do what's right. It's what actions we take. Okay. We cannot control other people's behavior. I mean, I know that as being a parent of a 2-year-old. Okay. Like she's over there doing her own thing. Yesterday we were at a restaurant and, we're trying to sit and have a nice dinner and she's playing peekaboo with the people in the booth next to us. I'm like, girl. And then she's starting to scream because she's got this really cute little laugh. She kind of sounds like a squeaky balloon. And so when she's laughing, like she's right in my ear and it's like very high pitched and loud. And I'm like, girl, if it's hurting my ears, I can't imagine what it's doing to the people behind us. Right. So it's like, even though I can sit there and be like, hey, you're hurting, you could be like hurting people's ears. She's like, I don't care, so there's going to be a lot of people in our world where we're not going to be able to control what they do. But what we are able to control is the way that we respond. Okay. And so what Buddha did is he learned how to respond in the perfect way. That is what becoming a Buddha is. It's learning how to interact with your world in a way that never causes pain, never causes issues. And if anything, it helps people move towards enlightenment if they have the ability to see that. Okay. Because we're all have these inborn tendencies that we carry with us. Okay. Now, when we talk about bodhicitta, okay, you cannot reach enlightenment without bodhicitta. You just can't. Bodhicitta is being able to see every single being as precious as your own child. It's being able to see every being as precious as your mother. It's being able to see every being worthy of love, worthy of safety, worthy of compassion and forgiveness. It's essentially what Jesus taught. He was basically teaching people how to be bodhisattvas. Okay. But bodhicitta becomes a motivation for us. If we can connect with our bodhicitta, not just, oh, maybe I should be nice. Okay. It's more connecting on it with a daily basis and operating from that mode every single moment of your life. And that's why it's called a practice, because you have to learn how to do it. Right. And so that spark of going, I really want to make the difference in the world, turns our practice into something that becomes alive. It's our reason for practicing. It's our reason for sitting on the cushion every morning going, I am going to train this mind. I'm going to get this crazy elephant and monkey under control. So that way, when I walk into the world, I can be the bodhisattva that is living with bodhicitta in their heart. But in order to do that, you have to have something first. Does anybody know what the very foundation of developing bodhicitta is? What was that? Compassion? Not compassion, but compassion does evolve from this. Empathy? I like it, not the word I'm looking for. Emptiness would be a quality that you'd place on this. Huh? Not meditation. Not mindfulness. Equanimity, right? You have to be able to see all beings with equity, okay? Or equanimously, okay? So you have to see all beings as if you were looking at them as your child, right? You have to be able to see every being, even the ones that rub you the wrong way, as having the potential of being a Buddha. It's being able to see the Buddha nature in everybody. That's what equanimity is. And you have to have that first. Okay? Now, why? Because in order to start the steps, you have to be able to have an open heart towards all beings. Okay? And the first step of developing bodhicitta, the 7-point cause and effect for bodhicitta, as taught by originally by a Sangha and then more clearly by a Tisha. The first thing you have to be able to do is to see all beings as your mother. Now, this is traditional to the way that they teach this in Tibet. And I know some people have a difficult relationship with their mother, okay? But the reason that we use our mother is because we would not be here without them. We would not exist. We would not have a life, okay? And this life can be used for many, many, many beautiful, good things if we so choose. But it wouldn't have started if we didn't have somebody to carry us in our womb for 9, or in my case, 10 months. Okay? It just wouldn't happen. So the very least that we can say to our mothers is, you gave me your body, you gave me your time, and you gave me your life, even if the relationship is kind of rocky. But sometimes it can help to connect with somebody who has been really impactful in your life, somebody you can really remember that has made a difference for you. And that might be a father, that might be an aunt or an uncle or a grandparent, that might be a friend. Okay, when all has felt abandoned and you had one person in your life that still continued to show up, it could be that person. And so in the Tibetan tradition, we practice seeing every single being as our mother. Because if reincarnation is true, and if life has been limitless and is endless, if our consciousness has had no beginning and no end, based off of the logical proofs, then you would understand that every single being that you interact with, every single being, from ants all the way up to, the largest creature you can imagine, to every single human, they have all held the role of being your mother at some point in your life. Okay. And when I say life, I mean the entire stream of consciousness. Okay. So how could you not see every being as your mother? And it's a really beautiful practice. I remember when I first learned this teaching, I was on the road. My kids were in the back. We were driving back from the Grand Rapids Public Museum. And I had this intense moment where I was looking out at all the other drivers on the road. And I thought to myself, oh my God, they're all my mom. These are all people that I want to drive carefully for. These are the people that have done something for me, even though they don't know it. They have made an impact in my life, in my stream of consciousness. Because in order to have some sense of goodness in my heart, it has only come from being taken care of. And even though we're stuck in this misunderstanding of not being able to see others this way, if I can wake up my mind, maybe I can teach others to wake up theirs. And then the same teaching came again. I was in cleaning my cat's litter box. And I thought to my cats, you are my mothers. I do this for you. And so this task that can seem really daunting, like, oh, really? I got to go in there and clean up like cat pee-pee off the floor again. I did it with love. I did it with compassion, going, what if this was my mother? Wouldn't I want to do that for her, care for her, clean up after her, take care of her if she couldn't take care of herself? And then I looked at my kids, and as being their mother, I thought, what are all the things that you've done to care for me? And even by teaching me how to be a mother, they've cared for me. They've shown me how to love. They've shown me how to care. And even in the person that I find challenges, what have they shown me how to do? They've shown me how to move my mind in a way that doesn't keep causing pain and hurt and anger. To having adults who physically abuse you, I still look at them with love and care, and I always have. I thought, I know that you're hurting, and this pain is yours, and let me help you take it. And how do you think that even those in prisoners of war, Buddhist prisoners of war, practice this with those that have incarcerated them, those who beat them in the yards? They still look at them and go, you were once my mother. You are somebody that has a lot of pain, and if there's something that I can do to help, I'm going to. Now, that doesn't mean get walked all over. Sometimes the biggest compassion can come from standing up for yourself. It can come from being upset, but it's not the kind of upset that says that I matter more. It's the kind of upset that Mahakala, the tantric deity, would say, you have to say no sometimes. Okay? You have to make sure that you're not teaching people to plant bad karmas, to learn how to keep being a negative person, to continue to hate. It's okay to stand up. Being a Buddhist does not mean being passive, but it means still looking at those beings, even though they make mistakes, as your mother. And so what can we do? Because sometimes it's hard, you know, sometimes it's really hard. Remember their kindness. Remember every single kindness your mother has ever imparted on you, or somebody that you connect with has ever imparted on you. I have a good friend growing up, and her mother was very absent, but her father did everything he could to take care of her. He gave her everything she needed. He made sure that she had a safe place. She went to the best schools. And so for her, she'd connect more to what her father's done for her. For me, it's my mother. For my sister, it might be my aunt. Okay? So we all have somebody that we can connect to. It's just, who is that for you? So while I may use the word mother, maybe bring to mind that person instead if you have a difficult relationship with your mother. And so thinking of that person, thinking of all the kindnesses they've done for you, the next step, or step number 3, is to repay that kindness. You think to yourself, you've done so many good things for me. How am I going to give that back to the world? And then step 4 is to love them like a mother loves their child. When you see that they're in need, do what you can to help them. Not in an overbearing, annoying kind of way, but maybe in the kind of way that says, hey, I see you're struggling. Do you need help? Right? And those all in order as you're practicing with them lead up to the 5th step, which is developing great compassion or mahakaruna. And this is not just wanting them to be happy. This is wanting to end their suffering. It's wanting to take away every single pain they've ever felt. And so in order to do that, we have to take personal responsibility. And the word for that in Tibetan is laksam namdak, personal responsibility. We have to say, all right, I have this mind, and I know I can work on doing my best to find that agency. So let me do it, because I can't force anybody else to do it. I have to take personal responsibility for this. If I want to see things change in my world, I have to make sure that I am working on the habits, changing the way that I see the world to make a difference in it. And lastly, as you go through those steps, the product is Boddhichitta. It's being able to see the world with a heart that's so unimaginably great that there is no more anger, there is no more pain. And when you reach that first step, that's when you become a bodhisattva. When you have true bodhicitta in your heart, not just the hope for it, true bodhicitta, that is when you become a bodhisattva. And so just to touch on Mahakala, who is the tantric form of Avalokiteshvara. Avalokiteshvara is the bodhisattva of compassion. The Dalai Lama is considered an emanation of Avalokiteshvara, the 14th emanation. And Mahakala, this painting right here, if you haven't had a chance to look, or if you get some time, that is the tantric version. And we might think, wow, like we think of compassion, we think of something beautiful. This thing looks like a scary demon that's crawled up from the pits of hell. Why? Because sometimes compassion has to be like that. If somebody was abusing you, do you just let them punch you in the face? Or would you say, hey, stop? And you wouldn't say, hey, stop. From a bodhisattva's perspective, you wouldn't say, hey, stop because you're hurting me. You would say, hey, stop. You're hurting yourself by planting these karmas of anger. You are habituating anger. And I want to stop you, not because I'm in pain, but because you're in pain. I'm doing this because you need help, not because I need help. I can control my mind as a bodhisattva. I see the reality of the world. I see the mistaken view that goes on. So how can I help other people wake up to their mistaken view? How can I help them develop bodhicitta, the awakened heart? Right? What can I do to take personal responsibility? And in some cases, it might be you need to say no when somebody's emotionally manipulating you. Okay? No, I will not take this abuse anymore. And it's not because I don't love you. It's because what you're doing is causing pain to people. And if I can do it for you to stop causing pain to me and to others, then I'm going to do it. Okay? It's standing up with a virtuous confidence. And I think that's something that we often forget that we have the ability to do. And sometimes it's hard. It's so hard to figure out what's the right answer. And the right answer is going to be whatever your capacity is, wherever you are on your path in your practice, because there is no right or wrong answer. That's what emptiness teaches us. Emptiness says that there is no permanent self-existence about it. Okay? It means that sometimes being angry is the right answer, because being angry will stop someone from causing pain. Right? So even anger itself is empty of a nature. Anger isn't necessarily bad if you're using it to help other people wake up. That doesn't mean go get angry at people or justify why your opinion is better than somebody else's. That's not what that means. Okay? But it's getting clear on understanding the emptiness of how we view the world. Now, there's this teaching that that I really love that I think pertains so well to the 7 steps. And I want you to imagine that, and maybe some of you have actually experienced this, where you go to see your mother and maybe they're living in a facility or maybe they're still living at home and they've forgotten to take their medicine that day. And you walk in and they think that you're a robber or a thief. And so they come at you with a knife and you think to yourself, okay, they haven't taken their medicine. They're not in the right state of mind, but you're not going to sit there and get angry at them for it. You're not going to react in a way that would cause them pain. You would do whatever you could to help them. You do whatever you could to get the knife out of their hand and, to help them get their medicine and help take care of them, right? Why aren't we doing that for every single being out there? Why aren't we seeing all beings as having a sickness that they can't help? That's what misunderstanding is. If they don't have the medicine of wisdom, they can't move past their sickness, right? And it was Shantideva who said, when I see another acting under the power of delusion, should I not think of them like a sick person, deserving of compassion, not anger? So this is how we meet other people with compassion. This is how we develop that heart of bodhicitta. And so we often have this karma that says, it's this karma that every single person's born with. Okay, just meet any kid, you'll know. And it's often the karma that says, well, I have to look out for me. I have to look out for number one. Okay. It's the part where your kid's like, walking into you when you're in the kitchen trying to do the dishes and they're like, I'm hungry, give me a snack. Okay. Where like if you've seen the reels on Facebook, or not on Facebook, on Instagram, there's a couple reels of like people who have said, if I stopped everything and did exactly what my kids wanted to do every single time they asked me to do something. And it's like, there's somebody that's in the middle of like hanging up a light bulb and the kid comes up and says, I want to go swimming. And so they throw the light bulb and run to the pool. And then there's somebody else that, they're in the middle of trying to fix their car. And, same thing. I want to ride my bike. And so the kid or the parent just kind of like throws the tools out and goes to ride the bike. Or maybe they're in the middle of cooking dinner and the kid says, I want to watch a movie. And so, the parent just kind of lets the food burn rather than take care of it. Right? I mean, that's not helpful. Okay. So, but that's the thing. We're so often living from this point of I'm number one, me first. Okay. I have to be it's this karma of me and mine. And Shantideva talks about it in the Bodhisattvacharya Vitara. And it's that How often do we catch ourselves in this me and mine mindset that's the thing that keeps us stuck in samsara? That's what keeps our wheels spinning. It's how often are we looking out for me, not other people, right? You'll see some people on the road who are like in their really fast cars, like zooming around. That's a perfect example of them looking out for them, not for others, right? Or maybe it's somebody who's like, I'm going to stomp on everybody else's ability in order for me to get ahead, right? You may have experienced that in the workplace. So no matter what age, there is this innate karma that we're all born with that says, I look out for me first, okay? And what Buddha teaches us is that it doesn't have to be that way. That's what emptiness is. Because how are we going to create a perfect world if we're only looking out for us? We have to create a perfect world by looking out for others. Because if karma is true, then like produces like. And if I look out for others, then others will look out for me. But if I only look out for me, then all I will see in my world is people looking out for themselves. And that is a total break in our ability to connect with one another and to recognize our interdependence on one another. And so sometimes when we think of these words like Boddhichitta, Bodhisattva, Dharma, they feel like these really separate words. They feel very far from us. They feel very Eastern. And so what I encourage you to do is to think of this in a way that's more relatable to you. Maybe it's words like connection. Maybe it's words like interdependence. Okay, what are some other words that might come to mind for you that makes this practice real? That's an invitation to answer. Unity, that's a great one. Coexistence, absolutely. Love, yeah. Say again? Egalitarianism. Nothing else comes to mind. That's all right. You keep thinking on it, okay? I think most importantly is part of this practice and part of my practice is number one, to make it alive for me. How can I take this into the world in every thought, in every word, in every action, through body, speech, and mind, and make it a living practice, even when it's hard? How can I step out of my habitual thinking to see that the world has such incredible potential and really is filled with love? And I want to leave you with one last piece that I think helped me see a little more clearly and how to push through parts when I'm really trying to just convince myself, oh no, it's good enough. And then I'm like, no, it's not. If you really follow your own logic here, it's not good enough. I can do better. Okay. And this was written by Pabanka Rinpoche, who is the teacher of Ken Rinpoche, who is the teacher of Geshe Michael Roach, who is the teacher of my teacher, Hector Marcel. And this was written in the late 1800s, early 1900s. To put it briefly, suppose a mother has watched her beloved child slip down into a pit of red-hot coals. The fire is searing his body. She cannot stand to see it go on for a single second. She throws herself forward to pull the child out. All the living creatures of the universe, all of our dear mothers, are burning in the same way. In the unbearable pain of the three lower realms and the circle of life in general, when we cannot stand to see it go on for a single second more, when we finally feel the true wish to reach total enlightenment, immediately, for the sake of every living being, well then, you can say that you have gained the wish for enlightenment. When you can finally look at all those challenging, horrible, hard people that you've had a difficult time with, and to see them as your very mother, that's when you know that you've developed it. It's not about the hope. That's the difference. The hope is to go, maybe I can change my world. To actually do it is something different. And so that's what we work on as we become bodhisattvas. And the first step is, this is my first plug for the precepts class. We have a precepts class coming up, and the precepts class are taking the first 5 layperson's vows, or they're like lifetime vows, which basically says, I'm committing to changing my world by saying, I'm not going to engage in lying and sexual misconduct. I know them all. When you're, oh yeah, killing's kind of essential, right? I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to speak with loving speech. Is that one? Oh yeah, there's intoxicants too, right? I'm sorry, I'm going through all my other like 143 vows and going, which ones is it again? It's the first 5, right? So what you're doing is basically saying, wow, I really see how these things are like not beneficial. And so how can I work on living a life that is free of those? And also understanding the emptiness of them, because to be honest, the negativity is not in the alcohol at all. And that's proven by the many people who love to go out and get drunk every weekend. Okay. It's really more so that we see that in order for me to make an impact on the world, how can I do that in a positive way? There are stories of monks who've had tried to get people into these teachings by bringing them to their house. They came to America and they came to their house and they were like, look at all these drugs I have for you. And then people were like, yeah, this is a great party. And they'd all sit down and then he'd give a Dharma talk. And then he'd just get them to do that for a couple months. And then eventually the drugs started disappearing and they were showing up like, well, where's the party? And he's like, you're here for it. And he'd give him like a Dharma talk. And so there's these really interesting ways of like, people think like, oh, but that's so immoral. And it's like, but did he get them to enlightenment a little bit quicker? I'm not condoning, don't do drugs. Okay. But the point being is that you work with the audience that you have. You work with the people that you have. You do it in a creative way. You become the MacGyver of helping people discover the parts of their mind they didn't know that was available to them. You help people see their unlimited potential, okay, by unshackling the limited versions that we have of ourselves. And so with that, my talk is over. And I'm going to get into some announcements here before we get into joys and concerns. I'll do the announcements first, and then I'd like to hear some joys and concerns. So thank you for being with me today. In August, we have an online meditation group on Wednesdays from 6 to 6:45 via Zoom. You can contact Are you still doing the meditation groups? Yeah, Jeff. We had our introduction to meditation from the Tibetan perspective on August 9th. We'll offer that again at some point in the future. We have a Grand Rapids Temple board meeting after service, starts at 11:30, and it's downstairs. Sangha members are welcome to observe. Our precepts start on Sunday, September 7th. Okay. And would love to see you. Some more information on that will be available, is available in our newsletter and also on our website. We have Buddhist-based recovery meetings on Mondays, 6:30 p.m. meditation, 7 p.m. meeting here at the temple. On Wednesdays, 6:30 p.m. at the Alano Club. Fridays, 10:05 a.m. meditation and 10:30 a.m. meeting here at the temple, or join via Zoom. Lastly, our temple runs on donations. So keeping the doors open, making sure that there's things in the building, like products for classes, things like that. That's all dependent on donations. So if you feel so inclined, drop a couple bucks in the black box, or there's a QR code there. You can go to PayPal. If you're online, there's a couple links there I think in the description that you can access any donations by. Otherwise, donations are also appreciated in the form of goods, like toilet paper and paper towels and tissues and things like that. I think it would be best to check with our treasurer, John, with what products we might need in our temple. We also have a cleaning group on Tuesdays. First Tuesday of the month, is that it? First Tuesday of the month, we have a cleaning group. They're usually here in the morning. Yeah. And they come in and they make sure this place is clean. You want to take care of your temple space. That is a great way to give back. If you've got some free time on a Tuesday morning and you'd like to join these ladies, who can we talk to? Kate or Gail, or Judy. We would love your assistance. Okay. Some younger legs to be in here working would be great if you've got a Tuesday morning, first of the month, and be in here to help. So those are ways you can give back. And if you have any questions on anything, reach out to any of the Dharma teachers. We'd love to see what we can do to support you and how you'd like to maybe get involved with this temple. I believe our board is looking for members. So if you are interested in seeing what our board does, please head downstairs after temple today and check out what they do. Okay. It's mostly making sure this temple is running. It's doing what it's supposed to do, that the lights stay on and that the bills are paid and that we have the things that we need for classes. So I think that's going to be it for announcements. I'd like to give an opportunity for joys and concerns. This is a space where you share goodness in your life, or maybe you share some difficulties that you'd like us to hold space for. Yes.
We're also looking for people to help with the tech team. It's not too difficult. You don't have to really be tech savvy. We'll walk you through everything, and if you need help, we're always here too. So, thank you.
I'll start. My name is Z, or Igye Sue. A joy of mine is getting to spend this last week with my niece and nephew. They're 4 years old. They're the same age, well, roughly the same age as my daughter. And we got to go to the museum together, and they got to go to a petting zoo, and they got to do a lot of things that were new and fresh to them. So it was a lot of fun to be able to experience things that I've done with my kids over and over. My kids are like, boring. And they were like, this is so cool. So it was really, really awesome to experience that like fresh set of eyes while having all of these fun experiences before school starts. And my heart goes out to all of the parents that are prepping their kids for school. I know this next couple of weeks are going to be kind of stressful. So you're in my heart. All you have to do is raise your hand and somebody will come to you with a microphone if you'd like to share.
Hi, I'm Mary John. My joy is just being back after 3 months away over the summer. So hi to all the new faces that I haven't met, and I hope to stick around this fall.
Do we have any online?
Hello, my name is Kent Bapji. It's probably a joy and a concern. I just want to thank Jan Ensing for her service to this temple as board president. She served 2 terms, and today will be her final board meeting. So thank you, Jan, for all you've done for this temple.
Thanks. Good morning. My name is Chungo Su. Last weekend, my sister got married in Marquette, and it was really wonderful. Just a lot of quality family time, and the weather was wonderful outside. And we got to get a lot of the kids. Probably 20 kids were at the wedding, and everybody was swimming and kind of getting to know one another, and it was really awesome. And we took a pontoon around Grand Island, and we got to snorkel over top of a shipwreck, the Bermuda shipwreck. It was really special, and just like seeing the kids ranging from 4 to 14 and adults like myself included, it was just really kind of a neat, a lot of neat moments and experiences.
All right. With that, let's go ahead and take a moment to hold those joys and concerns in our heart. And we bow. And lastly, let's stand up for our closing gathas before we say goodbye. And that will be on page 6. And together we say, for all unskillful actions ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born in my body, mouth, and thoughts, now I atone for them all. Vast is the robe of compassion, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Buddhist teachings for the benefit of all sentient beings. All beings, one body, I vow to liberate. Endless blind passion, I vow to uproot. Dharma gates without number, I vow to enter. The great way of Buddha, I vow to attain. And if this side of the room will face that side of the room, and we bow. Thanks, everyone. Have a great Sunday.